I ask that the quorum call be lifted.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm here to mark a solemn anniversary. Yesterday marked the 4th anniversary of Vladimir Putin's unprovoked, unjustified, brutal, full-scale invasion of Ukraine. He sought to extinguish a democracy. He sought to erase a whole people's identity, their culture, their way of life, their language. He sought to redraw the map of Europe by force against all of the norms and accepted rules that have preserved the peace for decades since World War II. He failed. 4 years later, Ukraine stands proudly, resolutely, bloodied, scarred, but unbroken. Russia is not winning. There is a false narrative, in fact, that Russia is prevailing because it is taking bits and tiny pieces of territory at humongous cost in lives and resources. That false narrative must be dispelled, and I am here to say to my colleagues, to America, to the world, we know Ukraine can win if it has the tools to prevail. It has the will and the determination, unquestionably. It has the courage and the strength. It needs the weapons and the economic sanctions that will enable it to prevail. Peace is our devout hope, but peace will be achieved only through strength, because Vladimir Putin is unserious about peace now and will become serious only by demonstration, unequivocally and unambiguously, of strength. I've just come back from a trip to Ukraine, both to Kyiv and to Odessa, meeting the engineers who are repairing the electric generation sources that Putin has bombed. He's bombed all of the non-nuclear sources. Children who have been kidnapped and saved and brought back. They're among the 20,000 that Putin has abducted. President Zelensky, who remains absolutely firm in his determination to lead the people of Ukraine to push back the Russians. And in Odessa, the frontline forces on the Black Sea, who are not only detecting but destroying the invading drones and missiles, and the faith community there, who have remained so absolutely supportive. The fact is that Putin is bombing not only Ukraine, civilians in their hospitals, homes, and education centers, schoolrooms. He's also bombing American businesses. Of the 600 major corporations with operations in Ukraine, almost half of them, 300, have been damaged or destroyed in some way by Putin's bombing, drones, missiles. Putin is attacking Ukraine, but he's also attacking America. And America should be outraged by these attacks on American businesses. In the meantime, my main takeaway from this trip, my 9th, was the incredible endurance and resilience of the Ukrainian people. But they don't want our applause. They want ammunition, not weapons is what they're receiving. They need weapons. They want weapons, not words. And so I am here to advocate on this 4th anniversary that we give them the tools they need to prevail, because they are fighting on. This conflict is the most destructive in Europe since the Second World War. Entire cities have been reduced to rubble. Tens of thousands have been killed. Millions have been displaced. Families sleep under the threat nightly of drone and missile attacks. And they're fighting not only for their homes and their children, but for a principle that protects us all. We all have a stake in it. Our national security is at risk here. And the principle is that borders cannot be changed by tanks and terror. Sovereignty is not negotiable, and democracy is not disposable through force. I've traveled to Ukraine, in fact, 9 times, and I've met soldiers defending their homeland with extraordinary guts and grit. I've met parents who've lost sons and daughters in Russian bombing. I've met families whose children were kidnapped and taken across the border in a really grotesque campaign of abduction and indoctrination, war crimes that stain the people of Russia, not just their leaders. And the world has demanded accountability, designating Vladimir Putin as a war criminal. He's not seeking peace. He's seeking domination. He is unserious about the negotiations that are taking place right now. He wages war not only with artillery and armor, but with cyber attacks, propaganda, disinformation, energy blackmail, systematic brutality. And he believes that time is his ally. He believes that democracies grow weary and that America will blink, and we must prove him wrong. The Senate has demonstrated bipartisan resolve before, and it must do so again now. We've proven that when freedom is under assault, this body will rise above partisanship. We need to sustain that unity and make unmistakably clear to Putin and the people of Russia, aggression carries consequences. That means advancing stronger sanctions on Russia's war economy, designating Russia a state sponsor of terrorism if it fails to return those abducted children, shutting down the Kremlin's shadow fleet, transporting oil and gas to the countries that are buying it and fueling Russia's war machine, and in fact, sanctions and even tariffs targeting those countries, focusing on them because they are truly enabling this slaughterous invasion by Vladimir Putin. The Russian assets that now are in bank accounts in Europe can be used to finance the purchasers of weapons, Tomahawks, F-16s, interceptors for the Patriot system, 155s, all of the munitions and weaponry that Ukraine needs to win. We must be unified in this chamber, and so must America across this great land with other democracies that are under attack through the hybrid warfare that Putin is waging. We have reaffirmed our deep partnership with the Ukrainian people, their parliament, their president. And as Ukraine conducts the business of democracy, while sandbags literally line their hallways, we must be behind them. 4 years of this unjustified invasion, and Ukraine is fighting not only for itself, but for all of us, all democracies. Russia remains the most immediate and direct threat to NATO. Supporting Ukraine is not about charity. It is a strategy. Appeasement is not a strategy. nor is hope. Appeasement and reliance only on hope are the way to further conflict, wider war, which we must avoid. Ukraine has endured these 4 years, standing strong for democracy. And they are not only in this fight for themselves, they know that peace going forward is also at stake. Democracy is at risk.